doing?
Hi, Matt.
Hi, Matt.
Hello, Mona. Hey, Faye. Hey, Kieran. How are we all doing?
How are you doing?
How are you?
I'm all right, mate. I'm all right. Yeah, not bad. Not bad.
Why'd you look so red? Did you suntan?
No, you know what? I don't know why. Somebody said it today. I think I got burnt. I think I've got.
Oh,
I haven't put sun cream on. That's what's happened.
Well, you look good. You look refreshed after the show.
Do you like the t-shirt? Do you remember this t-shirt, Ramona?
You always wore something with like a polo, so I'm not sure why. When did you wear it when you eliminated me?
No, it was the. Can I give you some feedback? Do you remember that
Oh, who can forget that?
bit?
How did that start, by the way? The can I give you a feedback thing? How did that start? Because that started with me, I know that. But did you literally?
Do you know what? It was. I'll tell you the truth. When I came out and I was in a hotel, I rang my best mate and was like speaking to. I said, "Oh, have you seen the first few episodes?" And he was like, "You've got a bit of a catchphrase. Why do you keep wanting to give people feedback?" Now I didn't know I said it a lot, but wow, that's. I mean, I said it to you first, I think. Then I said it to Prince, and then it was the first 2 episodes. I don't think I said it much.
With Matt, it was like we're eating breakfast. He's like, he was talking. Then he's like, then I opened my mouth for 3 seconds. He's like, can I give you feedback?
Yeah.
Well, I love it. Yeah. Again, Matt, welcome to the Uncut. You, of course, know Faye and Kieran from The Traitors.
Matt, pleasure to meet you. Obviously, a massive fan of the show as well. So we're all Studio Lambert gang. I think you come across really well, mate, in the show. I think you absolutely smashed it. To be fair, I think you're definitely one of the likable characters from the show. So, how's life? How's the things been after the show? And is it still quite epic going out and getting noticed? And talk me through that.
Yeah, it's no. Thanks for the compliment. I really appreciate that. I think being a nurse, I don't want to say it too many times because I got ripped for that as well. But it had to be. I couldn't be a knobhead. I had to be decent.
Yeah.
In a way, you're sort of indirectly representing the nursing profession.
Yeah.
So, no, I appreciate that. Since the show, it's been up and down really. There's been really good moments. I think what I didn't anticipate was doing something like Rise and Fall, where it's unpredictable, it's exciting, you're at a range of emotions, and then it's like you go back to normal life, and it's like, whoa, like, do you know what I mean? So there's been some days where I'm a bit like, I feel a bit bored, normal with life, and I'm just like, I want something exciting, but I'm right at the minute. I know it's a normal response on the back of something incredible, a once in a lifetime opportunity. So, but yeah, I've gone back to nursing, same old job really, just cracking on.
A lot of us go, when you sort of come back from that bubble and then you go back to your normal jobs, which a lot of us, everyone had their own particular scenarios, but it's not an anti-climax, but you sort of settle in and it's just the adjustment, and you have moments when you're at work and think, bloody hell, like a few weeks ago I was doing something completely different. On that point as well, I definitely think, I'll put it out there, that NHS should be getting a pay rise for nurses. So
100%.
1,000,000% without a shadow of a doubt, and deserve that more than any other people. I think, I can't believe it's even in question at the moment. So I'm a massive follower of that, and I really hope you get it because you deserve it, every single one of you. So fingers crossed you get that.
Love that you were a nurse, because both my mum and dad were in that profession. My dad was a psychiatric nurse, my mum a general nurse, and so love that. And I was obviously rooting for you as well. What about the first person going into the lift? That's what I wanted to ask you, because you were kind of voted in by your fellow members. So it wasn't like you jumped in. They all said they felt you should go in there. So what was that like? What was the feeling?
Do you know what? I before going in, I actually thought I'm from a working class background, and I thought, I've grafted all my life. I'm going to be a grafter. I'm going to the basement. I don't want to be a ruler. I don't want to be up there. I want to earn the respect of the grafters before heading up there. But there was something at that moment, and I suppose it was maybe how it was aired a little bit, where there was a lot of people saying I'd like to go up, but nobody was taking that first step in the lift. And I just thought, bollocks. Like, I'm going to say and actually, to be fair, I sort of thought what I was going to say before I actually said it a few days before, because I thought, well, what if this could be a possibility? So I knew what I was going to say. I think I got 3 or 4 nods, and I think I think it was you, Ramona. I think actually,
Yeah.
Yes, Ramona, because Rachel and Cheryl, they just took it on themselves to get in the lift.
To walking into the lift, it was almost as if like I wanted to show people that I can make a decision. You know, a decision needs to be made. I'll put my neck above water. I've got a few nods, and like I said in one of the MIVs, I said, look, if we delay decisions in the profession that I do, patients die. So I wanted to make a decision there and then. Walk into the lift, but we didn't actually know. Obviously, Cheryl ran in and Rachel at the very end ran in. We didn't know the response from the grafters, obviously, because we weren't there.
No,
I mean, James in particular was, well, he said something along the lines of
lost respect for them, sort of thing.
As soon as I've lost respect for them, as soon as I've gained it or something like that, and I thought, interesting.
How did you feel, Matt, when you looked around the lift and you saw all of us? What was your first feeling? Because mine was, when Matt mentioned he's an NHS, I actually was like, yeah, good. You know what I mean? I know how hard they work, and I know how many times I've been in hospital for certain things with my, Hashimoto in my immune system. So I know I've always been taken care of in the UK and in Germany. But when I looked around and then I did see Cheryl run in, I was like, okay, but with Rachel, obviously, I was like, she ran right before Ali. Yeah. So I don't know if you saw that part, man. So Ali was walking and then she bypassed him. So when the final group was, I actually was kind of excited to get Ali in because he was a businessman. And I was like, it's nice to have another business perspective. But I really thought Jeff was going to come in because he was age apart. He has the most experience and he could have probably made some certain decisions from the beginning that maybe none of us would have thought of. You never know, right? Because if you have more experience, you tend to look at things a bit differently. How did you feel, Matt, when you were when we were going up in the lift?
Well, I similar to you, I suppose. I'm about it being fair and sort of everybody needs the same opportunity. And often when you take the opportunity away from other people, it wasn't very democratic. Let's put it like fair play to them. You know what? They took their moment. Probably we didn't know the concept of the game, did we, at that point? So they were just
not at all.
I'm going for it. And so in a way I respected how am I trying to say this? I respected how brave they were, and they just thought, fuck it, I'm going in no matter what. But then after I did reflect and I thought not very democratic, and that's not usually how I do things.
And when the lift door opened and we all walked in, I know I was excited, but I don't think I was as excited as everybody else around me. How did you feel? Because the first thing I asked you, we went to the kitchen, I was like, how did you feel about everything? Because you said you were, you grew up in a council estate, and for you, this is not something that you're used to. Tell me a bit about you, because I wouldn't know how that feels, because I've been working in the industry I'm in and I'm living a different type of lifestyle. Was it overwhelming for you to walk into such a space?
Well, I think the first thing I said when I walked out was bloody Nora, because it was just all new to me. And my mate said, at the start of every episode for the first few episodes, I keep coming out and saying, bloody Nora. That's something my grandpa used to say.
Yeah, very old.
Mine, yeah.
Really. But yeah, like I said to you and Cheryl in the kitchen, do you know what? It was, I had a huge conflict because I felt as though I'd done a good job as a ruler. But I never stopped feeling like a fraud. I didn't it was probably to do with my self-esteem and a sort of feeling like I deserved to be there. But living in that environment, it's not something I'm used to. It wasn't something I used to. So I was often in a conflict in my own head, like, no, Matt, you deserve to be here. Stop feeling like a fraud. And I also felt, in a way, a little bit guilty because obviously the graft was downstairs and the conditions that they were in, that's what I'm used to. And I know maybe it sounds a bit funny, but I'm from Hackney, East London. So growing up on a council estate, that's what I was used to. But yeah, it was difficult. But it didn't stop me from returning though, did it? That's the main thing.
No, it didn't. I can't believe the second you went down, you just came straight back up. Like when me and Isaac were chosen, I was so relieved, obviously. And literally the next challenge was like, one of you will immediately rise. And I was like, I already knew Matt's going to do anything to just get back up here.
So competitive. And when shifts, when it was like me against there was 3 other people in that final work shift, the time element, because I'm under pressure. And what you don't really see from that is Sam at the beginning was smashing the work shift.
Proper.
And I was stood there sort of laughing at Connor because he was, every time he gagged, I was creasing up. I was encouraging them and I was telling them not to choose particular plates because they tasted rank. But then nobody else was doing it. And I thought, why the fuck am I being nice here? Let's know. And that's when the second work shift of this particular one, I thought, fuck it, I'm going all out here. And I went all out and 40 plates. 40
You licked 2 plates at the same time. I think this was your trick. And Faye and Kieran, if you don't know this, Matt knows how to do the worm frontwards and backwards, and he can do it with his tongue. Do you want to show us, Matt? And I think this is why he won that challenge.
I don't know if you can see it properly, but look.
Wow. Oh, blimey.
Deeks, Matt.
My wife loves it.
This is a family show, Matt.
It's certainly not.
That was PG. That was PG.
No, but
on the family front, Matt, like you've got one little than of you, or have you got, how many kids you got? Two.
Yeah.
Boy and a girl, was it? What have you got?
2 girls.
2 girls. I've got one of each. So, family proud of what you've done. Like, geez, something funny watching with my wife watching it, and that time without them and coming home. It's quite emotional because I've not seen them for that amount of time. So, it was nice, but it was like, but they're really proud of you, mate, of how you performed and you were true to yourself.
Yeah, they were incredibly quite proud. And, you know, at the beginning, when I was in the penthouse, because she's 10, but we allowed her to watch it. You know, we were there when we was watching it with her, and I thought to myself, is she going to really sort of understand the concept of me being in the penthouse? Because I'm not licking plates, I'm not running around in oil and doing silly work shifts. So actually, I don't know if it was aired, I can't remember, but when Rossi, he was coming round to us, and I said, I want to go downstairs. Like, I want to go because I want to be able to give something. I want to be able to do something my daughter can watch, my eldest. Yeah. She'd love it. Yeah. And actually, ironically enough, the week that it was on TV, she was actually up because she lives in London with my ex-partner. So she was actually up and watching it with me, and just seeing her in hysterics.
Amazing.
But yeah, they're all proud of me. They're all, and that was one of the reasons why I wanted to do it. It's just to it's a memory, isn't it, for the rest of my life.
Made you apply for the show because, you know, as time out of work, we know how hard the nurses worked during COVID, etc., and that was going to take you away from that. So was there a particular reason why you wanted to do the show?
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, there was. I mean, I was doing a lot of activism before. I was doing a lot of union work. I was doing a lot of I'm a bit of an advocate for the NHS in my local area, and I live in the Midlands and having a Cockney accent, there's not many of us. So I was approached that way, but actually what I like to do is bend the norm or push the norm.
Yeah.
You see, there's been a few sort of healthcare workers on Love Island that have done it, and it's not usually accepted for healthcare workers to do something like this. So I just wanted to, put the nursing profession on the map and actually be a decent bloke, where in such a pivotal time when we're going through a bit of a pay dispute, just make my family proud as well. I think that was a big one. And actually, to learn about myself, I knew there was going to be things I was proud of, but there's also maybe a side of me that I tend to keep under wraps, and doing something like this, all of your buttons are going to be pushed.
Yeah.
So the things that I've learned about myself that I just will apply to myself to be a better bloke, be a better husband, and be a better father, you know.
You took the words out of my mouth. I was just going to ask you, we've asked a lot of people, and I think myself, Faye, Ramona, everyone, what did you learn about yourself on the show? And like you quite rightly say, it takes you to places you normally wouldn't go. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I think you discover a lot.
Yeah, the biggest thing that I've learned is that I find it very easy to make decisions with my heart and making decisions with my head. Now, I'm a manager in the NHS, and actually being quite blunt and direct with what you need from staff is an essential skill.
Critical,
What I tended to do was fluff things up because I was worried about upsetting people.
Yeah.
And actually exactly. But you can still give a clear direction to somebody. But do it in a kind way.
Yeah.
You know? And that's something that I've tried to apply to myself since finishing Rise and Fall. So it's something I've always found difficult. You know, in school, I always wanted to be liked. When I first qualified as a nurse, I wanted to be liked. But what a manager said to me once was, it's not about being liked as a nurse, it's about being respected.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah. Great advice. Yeah.
I mean, one thing you all missed is the first episode where I was so hardcore, and Matt obviously has just met me. And we were sitting in the red room, and Matt actually broke down and cried. Have you told anyone this, Matt? Or do you want to talk about this?
It's fine. I think it's a really important part.
It's important, right? So basically, we were making that decision whether to take that third round, and the
one where you got the £6,000?
Yeah. The first episode ever. Yeah. And me and Matt sat next to each other, and this is before voting, before everything. This is the actual first work shift, and this was where there were electricians holding
the first.
Yeah, and me and everybody agreed for the first round. Second round, I was very adamant. I obviously pressed the button. And then the third round, it was more of a discussion. And of course, I didn't take everyone's advice. I went with what my gut wanted. But Matt was really, at one point, me and Matt had at each other. It wasn't Ed. And he really broke down. And then he kind of made me cry too, because I don't know at that point if I, really destroyed his beliefs, and because I kept reminding him and reminding everybody in the room, no animals or humans are harmed through these processes. This is why we're on a show, right? But tell me, Matt, because I never asked you what happened, because you really did break down, and I still don't understand how you felt at that point, because I didn't understand it, and I still obviously I understand watching and how it was, but being a grafter myself and doing the work shifts is exactly what I expected when I even made the grafters do what they were doing. I knew it wasn't gonna harm anybody. But how did you feel? Was it just because it was so new, putting people in such a situation?
Yeah, I think it's a really good point, because that was the most difficult work shift for me. So what I found difficult was the screams. So they were screaming, you know, and their faces. You see Eddie, you see Marina, and they're genuinely looking pain.
And Jeff,
Jeff, his arms. He felt responsible for putting the grafters in pain. You know, and I just thought, fuck, like. Now I promised I'd act with compassion and empathy, but it doesn't feel like I'm doing that right now. And what you need to understand, I've been in healthcare since 17, nearly half my life. To feel responsible for putting people through that pain, like completely alien to me. But I suppose in a way, Ramona, I did feel as though you pressed the button, and I did feel you were the majority of responsible. You were responsible for it, and what you need to acknowledge, it was all brand new, and I remember they came out, didn't they, and said, look, just to clarify, nobody is being harmed during this. And I thought, fuck off, they're screaming, of course they're being harmed. Like,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, on that point, Matt, I mean, like, mate, don't worry about. Mate, I'm not an emotional person at all, but I bawled my eyes out on the traitors, like when obviously Amos left. I'm not that person at all, so it touched emotions I didn't know I had, and especially me and Faye can relate as well. Like, ours is slightly different, where we would accuse someone and then watch their game disappear because we'd made a wrong decision, and it's hurtful. It's not nice to see, because you cocked up and you think, well, that person's gone home now, and that's because of us, because we've got a mistake. But ours is a bit different, because it was psychological warfare and absolutely brutal on many different levels. But yours is exactly the same. It's a natural reaction not to have people in pain, especially in what you do for a living as well. It does sort of, it brings out different sides of you, so which ain't a bad thing. Real men cry from time to time. We all know that.
Ask Matt. I cried a lot to him in the basement. I think it was Matt. Matt was rubbing off on me because I was crying on anything and everything. First, the letters from home, then the swan challenge. Do you remember that, Matt?
I remember.
Origami swans, and I was just like, the challenge was done with Matt. And I just broke down. That was, I think it kick-started from there, and then the letters from home, and then the feedback, which was such a positive feedback for myself, and I just started crying. And it just doesn't, I guess you're right also, Kieran, you suddenly, something happens, these things, these certain emotions come out and feelings that people don't understand when they're watching it, because we've gone through this journey that is unexplainable.
And I've said it from the beginning as well. All of us, anyone that was on the Traitors or the Rise and Fall, were the guinea pigs. We had nothing to relate to. We couldn't watch anything. We couldn't plan anything. We couldn't strategize. We had no idea whatsoever about what was to come. And we've always held that bond and that unique side. I mean, I do believe season 2 Traitors will be a completely different show, and I believe Rise and Fall number 2 will be completely different, because that's what Studio Lambert are brilliant at, is keeping guests. So actually we might have had a right touch where these lot are actually in for a brutal ride. So
I know.
Yeah, we can only speak from our point of view, and yeah, we are the OGs, as I keep saying. We are the originals. So yeah.
And that's not knowing the concept was obviously incredibly exciting, but there was absolutely no way I would have walked into that lift first knowing there was an elimination 2 days afterwards.
Yeah.
I think my understanding, what I felt the show was going to be was a lot more rise and falling, sort of between grafters and rulers. But obviously when Ramona, when you did go home, it was like, shit, she's gone. And that was it. The pressure then just increased unbelievably. It was unreal.
So did you think I was gonna fall?
I thought, I was expecting to wake up in the morning and see your face on the grafters board. Yeah.
How did you feel when you saw it 7 days later?
I was like, what? But
I heard what you said.
I was gonna say, Matt. Matt, because you had the casting vote for Ramona, didn't you?
Yeah, he threw me out.
You were the one that it was 2-2. I think it was between Rachel and Ramona, or was it Marine? No, yeah, Rachel and Ramona.
Me and Rachel, yeah.
And it was up to you to. Yeah.
Do you regret it, Matt? Would you change your mind, or are you happy with voting me out?
I suppose that's a very difficult question.
The smile says it all.
At that time, I felt it was the right decision, but actually getting to know you in the basement, it certainly made me regret that decision earlier on. Because we saw a side to you, Ramona, in the basement that actually you showed your vulnerability, and actually the Ramona we saw in the penthouse when you first came in, it was very boss lady, lady boss, just lady boss, and just making tough decisions and firm, and just you knew what you wanted, etc. But seeing the softer side for you, I think everybody will agree, it was just beautiful.
100%, Matt. Yeah, I saw Ramona was totally different, and the other person that I said was totally different was Rachel.
Yeah.
Rachel was so different in the penthouse, and I don't know, she was just lovely in the basement. Really was.
She's another one that in the penthouse she was very quiet. She didn't really show her true self.
She didn't show,
just quite reserved. But then in the basement, and in a way it was when obviously Connor sent her down, we were saying that's the best thing for her, because in the penthouse what you didn't really see is the makeup. She loved the makeup, but I mean we're talking 2 or 3 hours getting ready. we'd be filming, and she'd stop the filming to get eyelash glue and nail glue, and it was like, oh my goodness, really, like it did get a bit grinding after a while, where it's like 18-hour days and you just want to get the filming done. And
we're in the basement, she had no choice.
Exactly. And it was almost as if, how I describe it is literally her mask came off and the real Rachel was there, and it was like, fucking hell, Rachel, where's this Rachel been? And she was, we got on. I mean, we met up a few weeks ago now, and she came in and said, all my family think you hate me. I was like, no, tell them.
A couple of quick things I just want to, before we lose you. So one, first of all, I'll commend you, mate, for the mental health stuff you're doing at the moment as well. I've just signed as an ambassador for PTSD UK, which I'm exceptionally proud for. So I've seen you've done a lot of lives about that. So if you ever want to collaborate on something, mate, it'd be great to obviously have a chat about that. Potentially if we could do something together, that'd be good, because I'm a massive believer in it myself. And the last one would be, what would you like to do now, Matt?
Just going back to the PTA. My brother was a Marine for 12, 13 years, so
there you go.
Close to the heart. He's a civilian now. He left the Marines, but it's close to my family. We're all sort of military or nursing. What would I like to do now?
Have you signed? Have you signed with anyone? Are you going into that, or are you?
Yeah. Well, I've had a discussion with somebody last week. I think it's similar to Kieran. I think you might know. So I think for me, if I can use my voice in any way to reduce the stigma around mental health, if I can be an inspiration to particularly young males that are finding it really difficult to open up, if I can do anything to allow one person to open up when they're they're keeping it all under wraps because of the stigma, because of the fear of being taken the piss out of. I think anything along the lines of that for me is my purpose in life.
I'd love to do something with you on that, Matt. I think definitely we could have a chat offline, and potentially there's lots of stuff coming up as well you might want to get involved in. So I think it's a good thing at the moment. So I think you definitely bring an amazing voice and face to that scenario. Absolutely.
Wonderful. Yeah. Drop the details, Ramona, and we'll all out, and I shall hopefully see you all soon over a nice pint of beer.
Nice one, Matt. Nice to meet you.
Lovely to meet you.
Thank you, Matt.
Bye. See you soon.